Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Longshot, number 4 in a 6-issue limited series, cover dated December 1985. But you can see from the signature here, Arthur Adams inking his own pencils, but the signature gives the date of the composition of this cover, 25th of July 1984. So Arthur Adams got the whole 6-issue miniseries into the can, so to speak, ready to go to the printers before the first issue came out. So a lot of work on these comics and done in advance of the comics being slated for publication. The cover itself, obviously there's no background, but I like it because it gives focus to the three primary figures, and I like the sweep of action on the cover where we go with Spider-Man swinging in here on the right to She-Hulk punching Longshot there as he flies over to the left of the cover. It's nicely composed. I like it. And also I like the little details of the top corner box where Longshot's, what he calls puppy, is growing with every particular corner box issue to issue into this absolute monster down here in the bottom left hand corner box. So let's open this one up to the first page. We have a news reporter who catches us up on what's been going on with Longshot and how at the end of the previous issue he got away with $3 million worth of diamonds and caused a citywide blackout, leaving Manhattan crippled for hours. So here he is. This is our mysterious hero who's amnesiac, doesn't remember all of his background and history, and we're going to learn a little bit more about him in the course of this particular 25-page comics story. So the title of the story is Can't Give It All Away, and the creative team and Nocenti writer Arthur Adams pencils, Whilce Portacio, spelt wrong there, Portacio on the inks, Joe Rosen letters, and Christy Shield rounding out the creative team on the colours. Now, who's watching the news report except for one, Peter Parker, who says, look at that punk, he's just a kid. I wanted to stay Peter Parker today, but it looks like Spider-Man's going to have to take a swing up above Manhattan. Bet the Bugle would pay big bucks for some good action photos of this bozo. And then also across town, we've got She-Hulk putting on her very 1980s leg warmers there. Just when you think the world has enough villains, still I wouldn't mind chasing his tail. So she's taken a shine to Longshot. I should let the rest of the Fantastic Four know. So this is the era where She-Hulk is a member of the Fantastic Four. If they see that looker, pass him on to old She-Hulk. Though, with these mystical alien types, it's best to knock them out fast before they try any weirdo magics on you. Can't hurt to jog across the park up to where he was last seen, way up in, and that's our cue to turn the page, the Bronx. So here is Longshot trying to give away those diamonds. This denizen of the Bronx says, I don't want your plastic diamonds. If you can't pay for that extension cord with the green stuff, get out. So he's out on the street and he's there thinking to himself forlornly, all those buildings, all that light, New York, so magnificent, so terrifying, and I shut it off, blew out its power grid. If only I hadn't believed Elliot when he said Con Ed were thieves. But he sounded so right. That was the previous issue. Now I must pay back the people for taking away their power with these diamonds, but nobody wants them. No one believes they're real. I don't even know if I'm real. But he's been watched there from the bushes. Something snaps behind him. What's that, pup? Is that you, buddy? Gone, he thinks. Even Gog, my pup, acts weird now. Been looking strange too. He was my first friend on this planet. Now he sneaks around and watches me. In my flashbacks dreams, I've seen myself on another world as a warrior, a slave, and a movie star. What am I really? The world feels real and right to me, yet at the same time it's so alien. And why does everyone tell me I'm so lucky? I don't feel lucky. Then he thinks about Ricochet Rita. She'll help. When this is all over, I'll go find her. Because she was his first friend in the first issue of the limited series. Meanwhile, we have these kids who are playing make-believe. And they're the star rammers or star slammers. Rammers were the rammers, says one of them. And they're arguing here. They're in this broke up car on bricks, and they all fall out in the middle of their little fight there. So then what happens is one of the children's parents turns up and there's an argument between them. This is typical Nocenti, kind of putting in a little bit of social commentary, but also in this case, it's kind of metatextual about comics and their worth. TV's no worse than books or comics, says the father, and the mother says, yes, it is. Television is so subliminal. It trains them to be violent. Now tell them to throw those guns away. So we weren't playing violent, honest, says one of them. And then I like this panel here where we just see the shadows of the parents looming over the kids. Honey, you're so politically naive, says the father. These days, one must appear heavily armed. It's not violence, it's just good posture. Well, she says, and he interrupts her, it's important for the children to know this. You can walk safely through a bad neighborhood if you have a machine gun slung over your shoulder, even if the gun's plastic. Just like our country, bombs aren't made to be used. That would be suicide. And the woman's tapping her feet there. She's not getting a word in edgeways. Bombs are just good sense, says the father. Just good etiquette. It doesn't matter if they work. They'll never be used. They might as well be made of paper. The kids must learn. We raise them to be naive. They'll just get hurt. And he says to his wife, you're naive. And she says to him, and you're so, hey now children, don't you go out, turn on the TV. So both the parents are kind of cast there as aloof and out of touch and having their different argument about, what is going to make for a better or worse upbringing of the kids. The realism from the father, the mother worried about violence on TV, and the kids basically just go off about their own purposes and games. And really what they're looking for is some money to buy something for fun. So let's see. Yeah, what do they have between them? 90 cents only. That's not enough to get even 2 comics, says one of them. All the gang's money spent on keeping you fat, says another. So they're disappointed, and then into their midst is dropped, what is it here? Some diamonds, yes. So Longshot has chosen to share his diamonds with the kids. Gee, mister, thanks. You're welcome. What's your name, pal? Says Longshot. So they introduce themselves as Spider-Man. And Longshot here is asking them what are they going to do with the diamonds? Trade them in for comics. Okay, that's a good deal if they can get someone to take diamonds for comics. So look at this particular couple of pages here. You can see that early Arthur Adams, he's getting the plot from Nocenti and he's laying out all the different story beats, and there's a lot of information on every single page. So he's cramming a lot in, but it still reads very clearly, in my opinion. So one of the little girls from the gang has taken a shine to Longshot. I'm so short, she says. He doesn't even see me. Darla, she shows up, and so does the gang in Daredevil when Nocenti takes over. So she remembers those kids and takes them with her to her run on Daredevil. So Longshot walks off. Darla there, a little bit shy and upset about Longshot not noticing her. And then they notice Gog there, the puppy, and then he's disappeared. I saw a monster, didn't I? Believe in your own lies now. Look at him, what a spaz. You're such a liar, Butch. So then we continue with Longshot as he walks through the park, and he's thinking to himself, I keep trying to give away diamonds, but people just tell me they're too hot. So he doesn't understand the idiom. Geez, they feel cool to me. This planet is so strange. I can taste it, feel it, see it, read it, so it's a real world. Can't deny it. But look at it, fantasy. It's got to all be fantasy. Or maybe this world can be both at the same time. So he continues with his thoughts about the pub, and then She-Hulk is jogging by just at that moment, and of course she recognizes him from the news report. So that's a really nice panel-to-panel transition there as she stops short, and then she punches him. So that's our scene from the cover there. A right hand punch knocks Longshot flying, taps him on the shoulder, punches him, knocks him flying into a signpost. And then we get a really nice DeLuca effect here of Longshot somersaulting away from She-Hulk, but she grabs his utility belt there and throws and slams him into a tree. So I really like the action there and the way that Arthur Adams his twisting She-Hulk's anatomy there. It's very good. He's really kind of drawing on the John Buscema or the Marvel way of drawing comics, and really kind of forcing characters, putting characters into these extreme anatomical positions in order to convey the dynamism of the action. Of course, poor Longshot there, all befuddled. She's beautiful, he thinks, but she's another monster. She wants me dead like all the others, unless this is not real, another fantasy. So Longshot very confused in terms of who he is, which of his memories are true, whether he's in a fantasy or not. And then, impossibly elsewhere, we pick up with Mojo. So he's just been recently introduced into the comic. He's the big bad who's responsible for Longshot's creation and befuddlement. So here we see his infernal palace and his major domo, his chief butler. So Mojo here berating Major Domo. You're an appliance domo, a utensil, a gadget, a toaster, a vacuum, a slave. Market news, please. So Major Domo replies, of the 1,000 new slaves that rolled off the assembly belt this month, you own 43%. What? That's not even a controlling share, exclaims Mojo. Who are those ugly girls? But you call for us, they say. Out of my sight, Domo. Everyone's so ugly. The only face I can look at is my own. So Mojo here being characterized as both a tyrant and a narcissist. So what does Major Domo say? He says, Mojo, darling, I think you're having a bit of a sigh crisis. Perhaps a little therapy? Let's turn the page and see what that might turn out to be. So the therapy is watching TV, all these millions of screens, multiples of me, Mojo, the life bringer. My island is a monument to my honor, and this my shrine. One must worship something. The more who worship me, the greater my power. That is the true metaphysics behind godhood, he says. All I see, I own. It's all me. I extend everywhere, no boundaries. I never end. The world never begins. I'm everywhere. It's all me, mine. And he begins to scream, and then he comes out of this center with all the screens and reflections and videos of himself. That was quick, says Major Domo. Shut up, says Mojo. He's such a psycho infant. I want all the mirrors painted black, he says. Of course, darling. Listen, the slave trackers you sent after that rebel slave have returned through a portal. So, with the dead rebel? Not quite. Bring them to me, he says. Let me see their new faces. Let's turn the page. And here they are. The gang that was sent after Longshot. And they're here with their excuses. And they say that dimension, it's got a planet with a race of man, the one that they found themselves in. They look exactly like the man slaves you genetically engineer. And you took the man image from our mythology. So these are anthropomorphic animals, the image of our worst nightmares, which means our myths are real. But the one we followed there, the slave from our dimension, he's trouble. So we see Longshot here. He was mind wiped here, but his memory is coming back. And he's meeting and communicating with other men, true men. So we see them here, including Ricochet Rita. They tell him he doesn't have to be a slave, but worst of all, he's lucky. He's so lucky, he almost stopped all of us from getting back. So Mojo here is listening, and he erupts at the idea that Longshot is sort of miraculous. A whole race of men? No, impossible. They're fake. And why are you wearing my face, he asks. Take off my face. So he sends a blast at this particular gang member, knocks him on the ground, says of his face, it's mine and no one else's. I'm miraculous. So like I said, he's a complete and utter narcissist. So then he turns his attention to what he needs, Spiral, and she's there at his command. What are you in the mood for, he asks. And she says, I want to return to the planet of men. I have an interest in the lucky one, Longshot. So what is that interest? Well, in any case, she says she's in the mood to dance. Mojo says, then dance, spin your spirals. This is a really great panel here. Reach out with your cyclic spirals and touch my magics, he says. Our dance together will open time and space. And off they pop. And Major Domo here says of his boss, he really is so tacky sometimes, the little darling. So he's got a very ambivalent love-hate attitude to his tyrannical boss. So then we're back to Earth and the park in New York, and Longshot there bleeding from his mouth, and he says to She-Hulk, I didn't mean to drag you into this dimension in the first place, or at least I think I didn't. Help me to understand why. So he's baffled, and she's there punching him still, but listening to what he's been saying. Portal opening, dead baby. Don't even talk to her, thinks Longshot to himself against the tree. The point is to focus my spirit. So here we see him accessing his power through purification of the motive. The look will follow. So if his heart is true, if his motives are pure, the look follows. So She-Hulk charges at him, but he's able this time to successfully somersault away. So we see a nice DeLuca effect there in Arthur Adams' art. And also again another nice twist on She-Hulk. So Longshot sends both his flechettes flying at She-Hulk, but of course she's invulnerable, and also the extension cord, and that rips the flechettes, rip her designer sweater, but she says, but it's nothing compared to what I'm going to do to you. But he's gone, disappeared. Well, I blew that one, she thinks to herself. I had him outclassed, but he got lucky at the end there, and we know that that's because his motives were pure. She continues her thoughts. He's human, yet so alien. Crazy as a loon, yet so focused. A master thief, must have hurt hundreds of people in the blackout, probably evil as all heck, but so darned handsome. Can't believe he got away. He's lucky, all right. So here he is bouncing away over the rooftops of Manhattan, and someone else who swings across the rooftops of Manhattan is Spider-Man. Hey, Blackout King, got any hot diamonds for sale? So Longshot there looks up. That's a nice shot, upshot of him looking up at Spider-Man. And now we're going to get some action here. Two very nice horizontal panels of Spider-Man kicking Longshot from behind. Hey, how'd you dodge that? So Longshot just managed to get away, and Longshot manages to kick Spider-Man in the back. He thinks to himself, another demon. But Rita says, there's no such thing as monsters, not on this world. Anyway, why do I keep seeing them? So they basically bounce around the rooftops. Bit of banter there from Spider-Man. You're fast, kid, but no match for. But Longshot backs away and Spider-Man misses him. Hey, Punko, is that a haircut or a plant on your head? And this is interesting from Longshot in terms of his thoughts. Why all these cruel jokes? Why does he mock me? Well, that's what Spider-Man does. He mocks the villains. But of course, we know that Longshot is not a villain. So Longshot basically says, I'm going to wake up now. Sure, kid, says Spider-Man. I'm in your head. I'm your personal demon. But hey, you move too fast to be asleep. Please, it's not funny, says Longshot. And then he gets away. Bounds away. And Spider-Man is left there to think. It's a nice drawing by Arthur Adams. You know, he's kind of leaning in to the freaky weird possibilities of Spider-Man there with all the shading and the pose. Nobody's that lucky. He's like the Black Cat, fast and agile, thinks Spider-Man. But he's also got some other force throwing punches for him. Yeah, must have been luck. So let's continue. Upstate New York, we've got Ricochet Rita. She's out in the park with her dog, swinging around because she's a stunt woman. Get over here, saxophone, you lazy bum. That's the name of her dog. How am I supposed to practice my stunts if you can't remember your cues? So the dog there just thinking, ulp. And then I really like this panel here, where we get a DeLuca effect of her back flipping towards the door of her apartment. So this must have been her garden then, or something like that. Let's relax, she says to the dog. So we get a nice shot there of her apartment. It's fairly messy. We've got the dumbbells there that she works out with and keeps fit with. How about we take the hang glider up to the cliff and do some aerial stunts, she says. What a mess, Sax. When are you going to clean this place? And she's got a parrot too, or a cockatoo. And so here she is in her house or apartment, and she's thinking about Longshot. Wonder how that stuntman Longshot is doing. Looked like he got pretty smashed up on the set last week. So she was watching the TV news reports about him. But Hitch, the director, said the hospital released him. I kind of thought he'd visit me. Oh well. And this is really intriguing. Look at our houseplants dying here. And then the dog starts growling. Hey, what's the matter with you two? The bird too is crying out there as well. And then the bird just drops dead. Oh, gross, says Ricochet Rita as she sees the cause of it. Let's turn the page. So who could be the cause of this? Well, it's Mojo and Spiral. So why on earth have they gone to Ricochet Rita's home? And look at all the detail here in the background. The dartboard, all the masks, the mounted sword there, the poster for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then the houseplant here discorporating. And what does Mojo say? He says, I hate to be messy. What's the matter, my dear? Don't you like my face? My, you're a dumb one, aren't you? I see how that Longshot, that rebel slave, must be found before he returns home to tell all the slaves about this race. Why, they'd all probably feel like they were real and rise up and rebel. It would be inconvenient, he says. Pity, Spiral, that you receive 6 arms makes you still not quite right, still a freak, eh? And then he smiles here. Ricochet Rita is your label, prepared to take us to Longshot. So she's in trouble. And then in northern Manhattan, we pick up with the gang of kids. Longshot comes to meet them again, and he overhears them talking about monsters. I saw him twice. First, I thought it was a hallucinatum, but then I saw him again at the cloisters. So he's trying to say hallucination. And then Darla here is still has a crush on Longshot. Look, guys, there is no monster, says Longshot. It's okay to play pretend games, but you must remember the difference between fantasy and reality. But he thinks to himself, I should talk. Fantasy's bad, he says. You aren't really warriors, and there is no monster. And Butch here has a gun, a handgun. Oh yeah, well Dad says we have to arm ourselves. There is a monster, and I'm going to kill it with this gun. I know these, says Longshot. Feels like an extension of myself. Another limb, he thinks to himself. And now we're going to see his empathy power working here. I know guns. The psychic imprint on this one is strong. So he reads it, its essence. It is an instrument of death and fear, he says. You traded the diamonds for it. So he's seeing what happened when the kids bought the gun at night from a man who had used it to kill, as I have seen these objects used to kill. So now we're transitioning into his own memories. My friends, we were rebelling. We wanted to be free, and they used these things to capture me. My creators, the spineless ones, had made me to serve them, but I had become much more, too free to be a slave. A mind wipe. They wiped my mind, my memories, left me drooling, eyes empty, pits, windows to a hollow mind. I was a good slave again. And so he's remembering things, and then Darla sees, hey, where'd you get that neat scar from on the side of his temple there? So has there been a surgery to make him amnesiac? Is that what happened? So when did I escape, he thinks to himself. What was I going to do next? How can I trust my own memories? Okay, guys, he says to them, show me your monster, and I'll show you the difference between fantasy and reality. So what will prove to be the case? So they go to northern Manhattan, to the cloisters. There it is, the cloisters. The monks used to hang out there and sweep the floors and meditate. And of course it looks spooky in this panel. In they got this nice top-down shot of them coming in through the big wooden doors. They're there thinking, I'm going to pee in my pants. One of the kids, help, please God, don't let me pee. And then who's in there except for Gog? And he's just killed the security man. It's you, pup, says Longshot. I can see and smell you. You can't be just imagined. Gog and Mungog to you, he says. You've grown, mutated, I guess. Does that mean you're real? So he laughs. He says, yes, depends on how you define real. But the longer I stay on this stupid planet, the more magic I draw into me. I'm a magic magnet here. Now I'm full, bloated with power. So the kids are scared. It ain't real, it can't be. And this is an interesting little sequence here where Gog says, no, oh, excuse me, I feel an eye popping. Could use a couple more with you around. So an eye pops on the back of his hand. hey, anybody got an itch they need scratched, as he points his pointed fingernail with the blood from the security guard towards them. Really great page here, lots and lots of detail in the inking. And now we've come to the end. So Longshot smiling. How do you know Gog's not real? How can you tell? I can hear him and see him. But Mom says they ain't real monsters. They're just tricks, special effects and makeup. Yeah, he's not really real. I get it. Reality is what you make it here, and Gog's trying to make it monstrous. Look, if you're going to be a monster, Gog, then I can't believe in you, but pups are real. When did you go back to being one of those? And then wham, here is the reality check. Hard to know what's real in this world, eh, Longshot, till it slams you in the face? Not real? Me? Longshot, you can't close your eyes to it. You got to face my reality. Now, anybody else out there want to tell me I'm not real? So, next, Deadly Lies. So we're going to see a fight between Longshot and Gog. And of course, what is hanging in the balance is the lives of the kids in the next issue. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Longshot number 4. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section, and what you make of the development of Arthur Adams' art. It's definitely improving issue to issue in my judgment, but he still hasn't gotten to the point where he's able to convey the action in less, like in the standard 21 pages, and also so many panels per page. But I still think it reads very clearly, much more clearly even than the first issue, I feel. So if you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.